Oh, charm girl.
Debunking the myth that black women can have it all. First off, if you're just tuning in for the first time, it's me, Boy Drew the Charm God. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and throw 50K in the chat, man. We are on a 50,000 sub campaign here on the channel. I'm the king of controversial and uncomfortable conversations. I think in the uncomfortable conversation is where we grow. Today we are talking about debunking the myth that black women can have it all. I think that this is a problem. It has become an issue in our community, and women feel that they're getting pushback on all their desires. You are getting heavy pushback and critique of their commentary on what they should have or what they shouldn't have. You're getting this from both men and women. First, I want to say that yes, black women are outpacing men in education. Black women are one of the most educated groups in our community and society. But you're going to find that across all demographics. Women just tend to go to college more than men. I think that men definitely need to pick up in this area. Women have begun to outpace men financially. So you do see women, due to education, becoming earners, better earners. But this solo this accolade just for you means what in the long run? What does it mean for the community in the long run? Because when you look at that, that's a great individual stat, but when you just look at the community and the marriage rates, it's low. We're talking about 31%. I say this all the time on this channel. 31%, as low as 31% marriage rate in the black community compared to 1950 when it was about 64%. So what has happened? What is happening? So do you think that you can have great accolades, education, outpaces in education, outpaces financially, and still have the fullness and wholeness of a community? Do you think that you can make this six-figure income salary, get all these degrees, have the home, have the car that you want, get the man that you want, and have the perfect family? Do you think that you can do this solely on your own? That's the question. And I think within the last 5 to 6 years, as our women have seen more critique of themselves, we see that this is an issue. And the issue is that you can't have it all. You simply can't have it all. You're either going to be an individual who is going to shine on your own and for your own selfish goals, or you're going to be a part of a community and build and make it better. And other communities are doing that. Indians and Asians have the highest marriage rate. Another astounding thing is people that have higher education in the black community are least likely to stay married. And I can make some assumptions, but I would say they're pretty good assumptions on why that is. Now, why is the marriage rate important? Why is the marriage rate in our community so important, and what does it reflect? Okay, well, when you have lower marriage rates, higher probability of crime and drug abuse is going to go up into that community. There's a higher chance of poverty in that household. Yes, she may be earning quite a substantial amount of money. If she's someone that's even earning 70, 80,000 annually, but she has 4 to 5 kids that she has to take care of, how far does that stretch? How far is this going to stretch? You have to think only 6%, this is according to 2021, it's probably gone up a little more, but only 6% of adults, Black American adults, make over $100,000 a year. The median income for most Black Americans is about $50,000. And that's still significantly less than the rest of the country. These stats change, they may vary, they don't vary that much. Get in the comments and post links. But when you have a community that does not have a real, also let me say this, when you have low marriage rates, it's low community involvement. There's gonna be an imbalance. So yes, you may go be more educated. You may have more money. You may be able to shop. You may be able to travel. That is good for you, but it will not be overall in the long run if the collective is thinking that. If our group of women in large are thinking that, it will not be good for our community in the long run, especially if you're talking about bringing kids here. I didn't get a chance before this show. I did not get a chance to look up the birth rates, and I'm sure they have been low, but they've picked up since we've made some different rules and changes in regards to our AB laws. But many of our women are still having children. I mean, the birth out of wedlock rates are the highest. So the birth out of wedlock rate are the highest, right? Just like our abortion rates were among the highest, if not the highest, and our marriage rates are low. So what is that telling us? And then if you look at our community and how does that reflect in our morals, standards, and principles? You cannot remove yourself, single yourself out for success, and then not take the negative impact that comes with it. It's not your fault. This is not about blame here. But this is about understanding where you are and what your position is with this. This is definitely not about blame. We understand where the source of this negativity has come from. And if you don't know that by now, open a book and look at the history of the Black American in this country. But if you're going to tout your success, if you're going to, and not just women do this, men do this too. And we talk about the protection of the Black woman. You can't talk about the protection of the Black woman if you're not talking about the healing of the family. And that means that you must uplift, heal, and restore Black masculinity. This is not about control. This is not about having authority. This is about order. Because even if you have a man in your household that is less educated than you, as long as he's working, and he should be working to take care of his family the best way he can in a combined income household. The household is going to make more than the individual if two come together. Two is better than one. Some of the reasons we may have low marriage rates is definitely a sex ratio imbalance, Black men, terrible health. We talk about imprisonment. We talk about alternative lifestyles. That's an issue. And a lot of what you're seeing right now, and I know there's a correlation, a parallel to what's happened in the degradation of our culture over the last 60 plus years, has been because the family has broken down and the Black exodus from church. Because there's no moral compass there. We've had cultural shifts, individual autonomy, this idea of individual autonomy to women, being able, let me say this too. I heard Deontay Kyle on the Grits and Eggs podcast talk about the algorithms. We're feeding into the algorithms. And the algorithms are pushing a certain ideology on our people. But I will say this, the programming has been there. The programming has been there in regards to women being independent, women demanding a certain level of freedom from their man, and already in a community that has had degradation of marriage for so long. When you get into the 80s and you get into the 90s and you're pushing this level of independence, look at where we are. You have to look at this thing in totality. It's not one moment in time. You have to look at it across the board. So independent, your baby boomer mothers have pushed that. A lot of them have been divorced and pushed that into these millennial women or the modern woman. Go get your education, take care of yourself. Okay, that's good. We've seen where they have gone over time with that. But what effect has that had on the community? What effect has that had on the community overall? Again, when you look at low marriage rates in our society, and then you look at the debauchery and the perversion we have, how can you not say to yourself that we must have a problem somewhere, even if you are individually advancing? Even if you're individually advancing, all the while complaining and talking about relationships. You're striving for independence, you're striving to have leadership, you're striving to have it your way, and also wanting protection. Many of y'all want the covenant protection of a husband without the commitment of a wife. How do you think that works? The numbers are not telling the full story. We tell excerpts and pieces of a tale, and that's just like clips. When clips come out, we look at a clip goes viral, we take that and we just run with it. We never go get everything in full context. If you're not getting an entire story, an entire evaluation and full context, then you're not going to comprehend the information well. So your individual accolades does not benefit the entire community. It's just what it is. So somewhere, and let me tell you something. I address everybody here. I'm addressing men, I'm addressing women. But Black woman, you have asserted yourself as a leader. And since you have asserted yourself as a leader, you must be addressed. Black male leadership is definitely weak and it must be restored. It must be corrected. So you're going to see a larger amount of commentary about Black men from Black men, but you're also going to get a larger portion of Black men setting frame and setting a boundary of what they want, what they're looking for, and what they want for themselves. And you're going to have to make that adjustment. When you had a Kevin Samuels come and give you that information, that was what that was about. So you may be making, six figures. You may be making all this money. You may have all of this education. That's cool. But how are you going to be in community if you cannot be in unity with your man? You make all these demands on a man. You think that a man should just make six figures so you can be with him. You have all of these standards on him that many of you really don't have yourself, for yourself. Many of you don't even achieve the income level that you expect to have. You also want to be happy all the time. You want to have children. You want to be able to be in charge. And you want it all. You attempting to have it all, you believing that you can have it all in your pursuit, the community has lost most of what it ever had. And the conversations that we are having about our community is important because we both have to wake up. Men have to wake up too. Men have to wake up and start to say to themselves that, hey, I am going to set a standard for my living. I'm not going to live off a woman. I'm going to work. I'm going to have goals for myself, a place that I want to go, and I want to find the complementary piece for that. That's what a man has to say. But if women are saying that you're not adequate based off of these superficial standards, then where are we as a community? Where are we ultimately going to be as a community? You cannot have full on protection and complete autonomy as a woman. You're not men. Men can travel wherever they like, but there are places that men ought not go if they use caution and wisdom. And this is really in reference to the whole new protect black woman craze that we have going on. I'm from Houston. I wear Astros jerseys. I may at times wear Astro hats. But if I go to LA, I can't just go into an opposing hood neighborhood that may see what I have on as an issue. Because guess what? There is a gang in LA that sports that. And they're practically at odds with most of the gangs in LA. This is America. I should just be able to go over here where this this blood gang is at. I should be able to go with this opposing blood gang. And I should just wear what I want to wear because I'm not a gang member. But that's not how it works. You have to have caution. I think the confusion for many of you is thinking that you can have this level of independence, but you want a level of codependence at the same time. You have to choose where you want to be. If you want to be independent and you want to run the show and you want to assume the role as a leader in the community, you have to take what comes with that. That's just plain and simple. You have to take what comes with that. And many of you do not understand because of your lack of guidance that you can't do that. You do need protection. Black women need protection. Black women need guidance. You ought to be uh looking to be married and have a family. But if you want to be independent and you want to parade around your individual accolades, that's off-putting to men. And I don't believe that most men in our community are out here slapping women on the butts, harassing them, and being disrespectful. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 second that that's happening. Are there a few doing this? Yes. Where are they doing this at? Is this happening in grocery stores? Possibly. We need to address that. You're a creep if you're out here harassing women at a grocery store, chasing her to her car. You should be in jail. If we at the club and you outside with your ass out and your titties popping through your shirt and men are catcalling you, you gotta understand. Remember that the Astro scenario I gave you in LA gangs? You got to use that kind of wisdom. Your protection is now limited. You got to know that without guidance and without, really, it's the men in your family that should be protecting you if you don't have no husband. Because how can a stranger, offer you full on protection? You got these superhero ass niggas out here that like to say, "Oh, I'll step up to any time and protect a woman." You could potentially lose your life. Why haven't we discussed that? There are countless of stories of men that have tried to get involved and protect a woman from a situation with a man and lose their life. It's just what it is. I don't believe that all of these conversations are just internet driven, because there is critique on that. Well, this is not really happening in real life. I think a lot of this really is. Do I believe that men and women, for the most part, out in society are hooking up and getting together? Most certainly they are. We just had a Memorial Day weekend in Houston that was packed. I'm pretty sure a lot of people hooked up. People are hooking up and are having relations because they're having kids and they're also getting STDs. So we know that people are hooking up, but is it in a healthy manner? All of the conversation is leading to Black men must rise to the occasion in leadership in the community and in their homes, and Black women will have to receive that if you want to change in your life, because you don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know what happens when a lot of these jobs go away. You don't know what happens when education changes. The world is changing. And what real protection do you really have without your man? What real protection do you have without your man or some men in your community that's in your family taking care of you? I think the off putting device is this false sense of independence. You know, that's why you had this whole soft girl era push. You had that whole soft girl. Oh, I'm a soft girl. I want the soft girl, because women are tired of working. Women are not necessarily working and having money for themselves, but I believe that women are indeed tired of carrying the load because they're not made for that. You are not made to carry the load by yourself. So on one end, you're saying, I'm independent, respect me as such. And then on the other, well, we need protection. Believe everything I say over here, but on this end, I'm a lie. You can catch me in lies. We don't see the hypocrisy in that. And first off, let me say this about, this is the Deontay Kyle post that went viral when he was talking about the protection of Black women. First off, I see it as a good thing because I am seeing a conversation that is awesome happening on both sides. You're seeing it with women and men. Um, I didn't see a lot of just agreeable. Oh, he's just right. I didn't see 100% of that. You didn't see 100% disagreement. You never see that. But I think I saw it in a balanced way that just started a good conversation. And you saw some brothers step up and really articulate what they had an issue with. And you saw brothers also saying, hey, hold on. We not just going to tear down Deontay Kyle. Because I don't think we should. First off, I want to say this. I'm a fan of Deontay Kyle. I think he has a great podcast. I've always been like this, even in music. If I respect somebody and I like what they're doing, I will give them props. I will show them love. We need to have more of that going on. There's nothing, you are not less of a man to doing that. And as a man, you can also disagree with somebody when you think they're wrong. So I'm a fan of what he does. I think it's amazing. I think it's a blueprint for uh, guys like me, other guys. That's how you just set up your content and put it out. He says he's a yapper. I'm a yapper. So this is perfect. And I do this for the love and for the people because I think that we need to be, this is my way to reach the community. So I think what he's doing is great. But I think that you need to have pushback. You need to have pushback of people that you think are great. You need to be able to challenge people in their thoughts so you can come up with better thoughts. I'm looking forward to seeing what his feedback's gonna be on what he said. You know what I'm saying? But I thought him saying that gave us a chance to have great dialogue. Regardless to whether you think he's pandering, regardless to where, like I said, he's left leaning a lot. It gave us a chance to open up and black men to say, no, I don't agree with that, and this is how we should operate. You even had black women stepping up and saying, I don't really agree with that. And that's what you want to see in our community. I think in this time, you get a lot of people saying things like, oh, turn the podcast mics off. Everybody shouldn't have a podcast. Man, I get that comment quite a bit on my channel and in my comments. But how else will we come together and be able to have these conversations? How else will we be able to come together and have a thought? Black people, we don't meet like we used to. Y'all left the church. We used to congregate there. We're not doing that. This is the place where we actually can come together now and talk and have conversations. This is where we can do that and have some sort of change, to have some sort of dialogue and planning of what we're going to do. This is a place where we get to do that at. So if you say muffle this, if you say turn this off, if you tell us that we can't have any type of real conversation here, then like, what does that mean in the end for our people? How do you get the message out? Media has always been a way to get a message out in history. That if you really think about the civil rights era, that was a televised process. Whether it be newspaper, whether it be video, whatever the case may be, that was televised around the world. That's how you get change. So you have to have that conversation. You have to be able to have a conversation about what's going on politically in the environment, whatever the case may be. So we can all say to ourselves, hey, that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. Because I've seen this dialogue change over the past 5-6 years. I've seen the dialogue change. That's what it's done. So again, if we want the community to progress, then we have to start thinking community. You can't just single yourselves out and say, we're doing great. We're doing better than everyone else. And you don't have a plan for the community, because now you assume you must also take the bulk of the negativity. You must also take all what has been said bad about your community, because you're setting yourself as the leader and you saying that you are the most influential in that group. That's what you're saying. Y'all get in the comments and tell me what y'all think, man. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm Boy Drew the Charm Guy. I love y'all. Peace.
Oh, charm guy.